Hey guys, Steven here, Fanatic Perspective. What a day for Patrick Mahomes, the largest sports contract in the history of North American sports. I think in this history of sports, according to Adam Schefter, 10 years, over $500 million, half a billy. I don't even know what you would give Patrick Mahomes as a nickname now. I mean, Money Mahomes doesn't seem appropriate. For those of us who say bag secured, I don't know if you got to move on to vault secured or what, but congratulations to him. And first and foremost to his family, as generational wealth has been secured. True options at, life changing, whatever you want to do, generations down the line, and investment opportunities, rooms that 99.99999% of the people on this planet will never get into. Patrick Mahomes has that access now. So from a financial security standpoint, God bless him, and it's a wonderful achievement for his gifts. And a lot of people asking today, is this contract deserved and all this type of stuff? Look, when you are one of the younger players to ever win a Super Bowl as a quarterback, really his second year as a starter, third year in the league, and honestly, a D Ford offsides away from going back to back, because I do believe they would have beaten the Rams in the Super Bowl the year before. But that Patriots game, Tom Brady throws a pick, D Ford goes offsides. You guys know what the history there. MVP in the manner in which he's done it in a historic pace, even surpassing the great Dan Marino in terms of starting out their careers in a prolific manner. Patrick Mahomes is incredible. So the money, if anybody was going to get a contract like this, especially in football, it's definitely him, in my opinion, especially the value of the quarterback position. A lot of people like to say Aaron Donald's the best player in the NFL, but from a value and how they impact the game and win-loss, Patrick Mahomes is that. But it's also a credit to the Chiefs organization. It's also a credit to Andy Reid and what has been installed, because people were not on this Mahomes wagon like that when he came from the Big 12 that everybody likes to make fun of, and Texas Tech, and they couldn't even make it to a bowl game with Cliff. And now look where Cliff has gone. Look at Mahomes and what he's been able to do when he's been in a competent system with a competent coach, not just a competent coach, but a visionary coach that's been so on the forefront of innovation for the last 30 years offensively, and just now getting his true credit because he has the right trigger man and everything around him to win games. You have to give credit to the Chiefs and the weapons that they've coupled with Patrick Mahomes that have perfect complementary skill sets to how he plays and how he creates. He's not just a quarterback, he's a creator. So overall, I mean, sky's the limit for him. They have, I think it's $140 million injury guaranteed in this deal. I'm actually going to share my screen here because some folks have tweeted some of the contract value numbers here. And I want to share this because it's going to go into the next part of my conversation with y'all, which is really on who's up next, right? I'm a Cowboys fan, so I'm going to talk heavily on the Dak Prescott situation and ongoing negotiations. For those who don't know, we have about 9 days before the franchise tag deadline, and if he plays on the tag this year, if he has a new deal. But the 2017 peer in Deshaun Watson, who is now up here, and Lamar Jackson after that. But when you look at this, and you guys can see here how with the incentives and the roster bonuses, how we get to that pretty much that 502, 503 number. Some of these are actually playoff incentives. If they make it, the bonuses he gets to making, I believe, to the AFC Championship game, they make it back to the Super Bowl. So, in excess, I think 477 would be guaranteed. And then with the $25 million in incentives, that's how we get over that $500 million mark. Now, in regards to, I'll start with Deshaun Watson, because we have his tweet here as a teammate Mr. Cole, Dylan Cole, tweeted about the Mahomes situation that Schefter reported. And this is what Deshaun tweeted back in response to that. And it's really interesting because he knows he's up next. And what happened today, and I've said this to many guys who we've been having this conversation about quarterback contracts, it is a way for the whole league to move forward. This Mahomes contract is a good day for a lot of people in football who've been, especially the stars, who've been worried about the guaranteed money and how things will be from a security standpoint, especially the new TV dollars and the way the collective bargaining agreement shook out. Again, I thought the players didn't get everything they could have gotten. But, you know, when you have contracts like this and then you have another guy like a Deshaun Watson coming right behind a Patrick Mahomes, who is his peer in the 2017 draft class, this is what you see here. So when we go back to have this conversation regarding Dak Prescott, because he's not their peer in that class. He is the 2016. And when you look at the two quarterbacks, obviously in the first round ahead of him, 1 and 2, Jared Goff and Carson Wentz have both been paid. And Dak has, I don't even think Dak's made $4 million in total since he was a 4th-round pick. And it goes to the point of Dak was never supposed to be here. It wasn't the plan. Because the other peer that got paid in the 2016 class was Ezekiel Elliott, that's who the Cowboys used their 1st-round pick on. All those guys having their 5th-year options, these extensions were easier to negotiate. It's harder with somebody who's a 4th-round pick who, A, hasn't been paid, and B, doesn't have that 5th-year option. So Dak's contract was up, you know, at the end of this past season. We've now, obviously, the $31 million franchise tag on Dak. Big question for us Cowboys fans is, does Dak play under that tag this season, or do we finally get something done? With this, many of you have been texting me today, hey, with this Mahomes deal being done, is the pressure, you know, is this an advantage for Dak? Is this an advantage for the Cowboys? I think there's two ways you can look at it. And credit to Rob Babers and Brad Kellner and Kevin Dunn for bringing this up on their show today here in Austin. If you look at it from the Cowboys' perspective, there could be an opportunity for leverage here when you look at the years of the deal for Mahomes, 10 years, and how the contract is laid out. Because when we go through these numbers here, even over the next, Dak's saying, you know, wants 4 or 5 years, and Mahomes' average value now, again, these average cash value, I believe, if you do the math on these early numbers here, it's like 37.5 or something like that, to the tune of over the length of the contract period that Dak would be asking for. So if the Cowboys want to play that game, they can say, hey, look at the average value that Mahomes is getting in these first few years, on top of the fact that he signed for a 10-year commitment with the Chiefs. Now, the big argument has been Dak wants to play the 4 years so he can cash in, again, especially the new TV dollars. We already know we're going to 17-game seasons. There's a lot of money in the cap, and that's the other thing with the Mahomes contract is some of the cap escalators that are in here as well. So when we look at this and the years that are involved in the commitment, that actually might be an advantage Cowboys. But when we look at the overall TCV, the total contract value, it's advantage Dak Prescott, because now we're talking about around $45 million over the whole life of this 10 years. And the guaranteed dollars is the big one here. Even that guaranteed $140 million for the injury, if something catastrophic happens and he can't play football anymore. So from a security standpoint, that's something that Dak and his agent definitely will probably look to push for. Now we've heard Jerry Jones say before, deadlines make deals, and I don't think overall my gut feel on this is I do think they're closer than a lot of people say. We saw this happen with DeMarcus Lawrence. We saw this happen with Ezekiel Elliott. Saw this happen with Amari Cooper. Somehow all those deals got done. And so my point getting there is Jerry's comment there, I do think that is and as well as Dak and the CAA folks have played this, I think a deal eventually gets done. I don't think the Mahomes contract and these numbers we're seeing here will have as big an impact on Dak's contract as much as it will have on Deshaun, Lamar, and some of the other 2018 quarterbacks that came out. Like, that's where I think this Mahomes contract will really, really start to impact players. And even guys who are not even at that level, you know, you look at eventually Sam Darnold's and Josh Allen's and folks like that that have to get paid. So when we look at just because how close the Cowboys are here, I don't see it being a big escalator for in terms of Dak in this negotiation here. So another thing I wanted to say, just going back to my point earlier about Dak not supposed to be here. I mean, Romo ate up some of that money, but a lot of folks have said, hey, if we pay Dak, and Dak's obviously not from a skill set and talent perspective, he's not Patrick Mahomes. But he is a growing asset. He is, 25, 26 years old, still very, very young. At this age, Tony Romo was just getting ready to take his first meaningful snaps in the NFL, if you can imagine that and think about how long Tony was our franchise quarterback. And it is meaningful to be the franchise quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. So when we look at the overall value of impact to the team and the cap, a lot of people think, hey, if we go to the $40 million mark per year for Dak, well, that impacts what we can do in free agency and signing people, and maybe a guy like a Michael Gallup who, you know, makes another leap, and now we got to talk about paying him because he's a third-round pick and he doesn't have the fifth-year option either, and these conversations that have to happen. Two ways I look at it. Number one, we've gotten a lot of people paid up. Dak's kind of the last one. You look at Lael Collins. You look at Tyron Smith has been paid. Zach Martin's got money. Travis Frederick retired. We got some money back off of the books. Blake Jarwin just got a contract this offseason. Amari Cooper just got a contract this offseason. CeeDee Lamb will be just now starting his rookie deal as a first-rounder. Ezekiel Elliott got the highest paid running back contract now, Christian McCaffrey. But all these guys have gotten paid. Even on the defensive side of the ball, Jalen Smith's been paid. Leighton Vander Esch was a first-round pick, so they'll have time with his fifth-year option to work things out. The only person that was really any collateral damage was Byron Jones, but the coaches really didn't like his skill set in relationship to the scheme that they wanted to run under Mike Nolan. So who are we missing out on even with the Dak money? Like, we're talking about going after people like Jamal Adams, even with his number, with Dak's number at 31 tagged with the cap the way it is now. So they're making the money work. And there's a few more things I want to just call out there. The Cowboys haven't been big players in free agency in a long time. Like, they don't – like I just said earlier, Dak has made maybe $4 million in his career from the Cowboys, all things considered. Well, if they weren't paying a quarterback that whole time, yeah, Romo got some back-end money to the cap or hit against the cap, but who are they spending this money on? They had all this extra – like, everyone talks about how Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks, they won a Super Bowl on his rookie deal and took advantage of that. Obviously, the Chiefs went ahead, won a Super Bowl under Patrick Mahomes' rookie deal and took advantage of that. But from a talent-building standpoint, we didn't capitalize on it because the defense was still underwhelmed with talent. It's not like they went and spent that money and got me some Earl Thomas or another lockdown corner. We didn't go out and get Darius Slay. So where did we spend all the money? We didn't. So if we're just going to be the team that relies upon the draft and we were more strategic in free agency, kind of how the Chiefs were this past offseason, getting a Tyrann Mathieu on a team-friendly deal and being strategic with some free agents and maybe convincing people that want to play with Patrick Mahomes, that want to win, some veterans and surrounding with that, and then kind of doing that churn on top of being prudent with your draft evaluations, you'll be fine. That's why the Chiefs go and draft Mecole Hardman. He's Pro Bowl kick returner, one of the most explosive guys in the league, even behind a Tyreek Hill. So when you draft well and you're prudent with your free agent evaluations, because when want to be the team that just dips into free agency all the time, you're always going to overpay anyway. So this narrative of all Cowboys fans wanting to hold all their cap dollars and all this type of stuff to go pay who? that's always been kind of my rebuttal there, because we haven't taken advantage and maximized that, in my opinion. Now, Dak in particular, if he plays under playing under the tag is risky for both parties, but it's really risky for the Cowboys because Dak is on an uptick from what we've seen from a productivity standpoint. Now, what you want to say his ceiling is, I won't argue with you. But when somebody almost throws for 5,000 yards and we saw the uptick and all this uptick and the coaching wasn't even right. Like I talked about Patrick Mahomes. Is Patrick Mahomes for every single team coming out of Texas Tech? Or did he go to a great situation where they had a plan and cultivated a whole offensive scheme for him to be successful in year two? Dak Prescott had to play from day one under coaches that all of us thought, whether it was Scott Linehan, whether it was Jason Garrett, whoever else you want to throw in there that's been on the staff, where we've always been at a disadvantage coaching. Now we bring in Mike McCarthy, and we feel with the combination with Mike McCarthy and Kellen Moore, we saw Dak 1 year under Kellen Moore, top 5 in almost every major statistical category as a passer. What is that going to look like with an upgrade of coaching, playing under that tag? And what if the Cowboys actually win something next year? Say they go to the conference championship, where they haven't been since I was in second grade, 1995, last time they were in the conference championship. So this is going to be very, very, very interesting how it plays out if they're not able to get things done over these next 9 days. And I know, look, Dak's going to get heat because people just, for whatever reason, whether it's him being the quarterback of the Cowboys, he's always been over-scrutinized as a player. But the reality is, with his numbers and his win-loss record as a quarterback and, the success he's had against his peers and how his peers have been paid, this is going to be all very, very interesting. So if he ends up being a Kirk Cousins, it's going to be tough. It's, where we have that back and forth, because that's going to mean we haven't won. That's going to mean a lot more hollow stats potentially, and something that ends very ugly like it did with the Washington football team. So, guys, let me know in the comments how you feel about all this. I do think, for the reasons I listed below or above or before, I'm tired, but I do think they get it done somehow, some way over the next 9 days. I do think that number is going to be somewhere in the realm of 38 to 40 million a year. And I think a lot of people are going to get bucked back and get scared about it. But again, this is why with him being a 4th round pick and not having that 5th year, they should have got this done a while ago. But they also didn't know that Dak would. I don't think they thought he would extend again and improve the way he did rapidly. But that's the type of person he is, and he's here for the long haul. All these other guys they paid, Amari Cooper, Ezekiel Elliott, they've missed games. They've been injured. Zeke's gotten in trouble off the field. Even the guys on the offensive line, Zach Martin's missed games. Tyron Smith has had a bevy of issues. So all these guys around him, everyone wants to talk about all the weapons Dak has, and he's had the best offensive line, he's had the best running back, he has the best wide receivers, all this type of stuff. But guys fall apart around him all the time. Michael Gallup had knee surgery in the middle of the season last year. Dak Prescott couldn't even survive with him missing a couple practices when we really in the Eagles game, in the second Eagles game. So that's part of all this is part of that. All this is part of that. Congratulations to Mr. Mahomes. Cool stat I heard today with brother Acho. He's won a Super Bowl and gotten paid before he's even lost the game by more than 7 points, by more than a score in the NFL, which is remarkable. But a special player, special contract, well-deserved. And like I said before, you guys let me know your thoughts. Any other things we want to touch on, let me know. But excited to get back to you, definitely, as news continues to break around Dak Prescott especially. So appreciate y'all. and be back later. Peace.